Hello, I'm Denise Scaloni. Welcome to today's episode of Empowering You. My guest today is Joe Kendall, also known as Hollywood Joe, of Hollywood Joe's Memorabilias. Joe has been collecting autographs and memorabilia for 30 years and turned this into a business. His story is so empowering. I can't wait for you to meet him. My guest today is Joe Kendall, aka Hollywood Joe. Hollywood Joe's Memorabilia started in 1987 when Joe decided to exhibit at a local Star Trek convention during the summer between his junior and senior year of high school. At that time, he sold primarily Star Trek memorabilia, focusing on collectible toys. It was successful and sales were good, so he began to do more events and branched out into horror conventions, toy shows, and of course, Comic Cons. He would soon incorporate celebrity autograph memorabilia into the display, and that's when things really started to take off. Today, autographs are what he is primarily known for, especially his intricate and one-of-a-kind frame memorabilia. Collecting autographs started out as a hobby, and he realized many people shared his passion for that type of memorabilia. He incorporated more and more into his business. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
I've known you for years. I didn't know that's how you started out. So
That's how I started Star Trek conventions. I'm a big Star Trek fan, and I started going to the conventions as a attendee. And then one day I had this brilliant idea. Well, why don't I go and try to sell things and try to make some money to fuel my addiction?
And that was high school.
That was high school. I did that between my
Wow.
junior and senior year. I set up at the first one. I was 16 years old, what was I, 16 or 17 years old. And I just had a great time at the first event. It was successful. I made a little bit of money. So I booked another convention, and I would have to go to my teachers on Friday, Thursday or Friday, and ask for my work for the following week, because I probably wouldn't make it in on Monday because I was too tired from doing the events.
Right. So over 30 years you've been doing this.
Yes, I've been doing it over 30 years, and I absolutely love what I do. It is a tremendous amount of fun. It can be hard work at times, but
Right.
it is fun. And I've always maintained I would much rather sell people things they want rather than things they need. You just get such a different reaction from people.
Right. And very few people do something they love for over 30 years. So this is really your passion. You love the whole collectible market.
I do. I enjoy the people that are attached to it, the casual collectors, the really obsessive diehard collectors, just all the different attitudes and mentalities, and the people that visit my booth and how they react to it is just a wonderful thing to see. People get so excited, and I consider myself a little bit of a museum and a little more of a retail establishment.
Right.
But even when people just come to look, it's so much fun to see them brought back to their childhoods and things that remind them of earlier times.
Right. And it is very nostalgia.
And I think that's what it's all about. Nostalgia, just collecting things that remind you of
Right.
happy times.
Right.
People will look at these autograph cast pieces I put together, and they might look at something like Top Gun, and they'll go, well, when I first saw that movie, I was dating so and so, and we went there, and then this happened. And it's not only the movie, it's the memories that are associated with it and who they were with. And it just inspires some very interesting conversations.
Right. And the work is beautiful that you designed. The I Love Lucy. We talked about that before we started. I just love that one because I cannot watch an episode of Lucy without laughing. So no matter what type of mood you're in, it just takes me back all those years. They're just as funny as the first time I saw them.
Absolutely hysterical. Lucy and Desi, two very brilliant performers. And, I try to put the pieces together in such a way that it evokes watching their opening credits, or,
Yeah,
brings you back to the show. I incorporate those little special touches like hearts in the display.
right.
And I won't design matting and framing for a piece without being familiar with what it is.
Sure.
If it's a movie I haven't seen and someone's requested it, I'll watch the movie so I know how it's appropriate to present it. I try to put passion and enthusiasm into everything that I do.
They're definitely one of a kind pieces.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful.
I try to make them really one of a kind showpieces, the types of things that you can hang on your wall, and it'll give you bragging rights, and people will look at it, and they'll start a conversation about it. And to me, that's what it's all about, the conversations that come from it, and the happiness and the joy that it brings people.
So did you start out collecting Star Trek toys? Is that how you started collecting?
Yes, I started, I was probably about 10 or 12 years old, and I started collecting Star Trek memorabilia, mostly toys, but
Right,
magazines, photos, a little bit of everything.
right.
And I would go to these Star Trek conventions. I would take the money that I made delivering newspapers, and that's not a thing really anymore, but
Yeah, but
I
it
used to
was
ride
then.
and I rode my bike around and delivered newspapers, and I'd save my money up, and I'd go to 2 or 3 Star Trek conventions a year with some friends of mine. And and then as I got a little older, I said, I built up quite a bit of memorabilia. Why don't I buy it, sell it, and trade it?
Yeah.
And then just from there
Well,
it blossomed into so much more.
so how did you get started with autographs?
Actually, the first autograph I ever collected came from actually a school assignment in 5th grade. Our assignment was to write to somebody and to ask for something, and to see if we can get something from writing a letter.
Oh,
And
okay. Wow.
and it wasn't even for me. My mother was a big Kenny Rogers fan, and
Oh, yeah.
I wrote to Kenny Rogers and asked him for an autograph for my mother. And about a month later, it came in the mail, and I gifted it to my mother, and she absolutely loved it. And then I started writing to celebrities and asking for stuff that I wanted for myself. And
Right.
back then, you
It
could
was
get a lot of
free.
3D success, and it was free, just your time and the postage.
Sure.
And then growing up in Connecticut, New York City, and the Broadway shows and the talk shows that filmed only about an hour and a half south of me. So I would go down to New York and collect autographs outside of stage doors, outside the David Letterman show,
Oh,
and
wow.
do that. And then I started meeting other collectors, and then I found out that through the mail, some of the celebrities really sign their stuff. Other people use secretaries and automated machines to sign them. So then I started to incorporate all the detective work into it, how to analyze signatures and find out if they're actually authentic. And it's been a lifelong passion.
Yeah. And I don't know if people realize how huge this industry is. People spend lots of money on this nostalgia, collectibles, and autographs. It's huge.
Well, in your local area,
Right.
the Pittsburgh area, you don't have to look any further than Steel City Con to see the enthusiasm and the
Oh, yeah, right.
passion. That convention runs 3 times a year. They bring in tons and tons of amazing celebrities, and just seeing all the people get in line, and you watch them coming away from the end of the line with their signed memorabilia or their selfies, and they're just beaming. People are so thrilled to meet these people that they've seen on the screen and have
Right.
enjoyed, and just say thank you.
Right. And you've made this your whole business this is
Absolutely.
your whole this is your livelihood.
It is. I'm fortunate to do something that I love. However, sometimes it will bleed over into my personal life.
Yes.
I'm always working, but it doesn't seem like work.
That's the
It's
entrepreneur way, Joe.
absolutely.
That's the entrepreneur way. You
Why
don't
would
have
you?
time off.
No, no. People go, well, how much do you work? And I'm like, I'm always working,
You
but
always work, right?
it doesn't always seem like work, but it's not unusual to put in 60 or 70 hours
Oh,
during
right.
a week.
Right. If you're like me, you're laying in bed thinking, I need to do this, I need to do this. Your mind just keeps going and going and going. It doesn't stop. But that
Well,
was
if I'm
it makes it fun.
well, if I'm dealing with someone that's in China or Japan, I'm
Right.
usually I might actually get up in the middle of the night to message them, so it's convenient for them. So there's always something.
Right. Right. And that's a good point because you're not local to the Pittsburgh area, but you service people from all over the world.
Yes, I work with people all over the world, mostly in the United States, but I do
Right.
have some international collectors, and it's very humbling that people enjoy what I do and they follow it and engage with me on social media.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to give the personal touch, and that's why.
You
And
do.
I
Yeah.
always felt that people like autographs should be able to be inspected closely. So I would do live events where people could look at it as closely as they like and really decide if it's for them. So I've always shied away from having a website, but I've found since COVID, engaging on social media
Right.
has allowed me to have a conversation with people, to talk to them, to educate them, and bring a little bit of the convention experience, a little bit of a thinned down version of it, but
Right.
still more of a personal touch than just clicking a button and buying something, putting people's minds at ease and talking to them and educating them about what it is they're getting.
Right. And that's it. You do numerous cons a year, but let's go
Hmm.
back to 2020 when
Hmm.
no one expected the world to shut down. Well, this had
That
to affect
was,
your business because what did you do?
well, in 2020, the last convention I did was in March, and it was Wizard World in Cleveland. And I was driving to a show in Louisiana, and I was about 4 hours out, and it was canceled. And then everything just started getting canceled left and right.
Right.
And pretty much I lost over a year of conventions, and that's how I made my living. So
Sure.
actually, it wasn't my idea. Zach said, let's do a Facebook show. We'll go live and show people things that are for sale.
Yeah.
And, that first event that we did, I made a week's pay. I sold enough stuff to cover the bills and expenses of the week. And then we decided to do other types of shows. We did autograph mystery packs, we did
Mhm.
auctions, and we had a tremendous response to it. And things might not have sold for as much as they would have at a convention, but it was
Right.
done with little expense. And then 9 times out of 10, people would say, "Can you frame and mat that for me and make it look amazing?" And they would. And it was just a very successful thing to do. And even though the conventions have come back, we try to do periodic events on
Yeah.
our Facebook page and offer things for sale and try to stay engaged with our customers and the people that follow us. Because when we come to a convention, Steel City is unique in your area that we get to see people there 3 times a year, but most
Right.
places
Right.
we're lucky to see them once a year.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay. Yeah. And we're talking about all the great things, but it is hard work. I've seen your displays and your booths, and it's a lot of setup time, setting it up, taking it down, driving from here and there. So it is a lot of work too. But you enjoy it.
well, I do enjoy it, but I can have a 12-hour commute and then 18 hours of setup. Then you work the convention hours. Then you spend 6 hours tearing it down and driving home. It's a tremendous amount of work, and the driving and the setting up and tearing down is actual work. But that
Right.
point where we're open and people are
Yeah.
shopping and talking, I love it. I enjoy it. It's not work at all to me, but the,
Right.
the the physical side of it definitely is work. And as I get older, it becomes more and more.
Right. Right. That's when you need Zach to do all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right. And one thing I noticed is from the time that I met you is people can come to your booth and talk to you. You're not worried. You want someone to buy something, but if not, that's okay. Still going to spend time talking to them, educating them on different things, and that's we really appreciate that.
Well, I'm passionate about the hobby,
Right.
and especially the collecting autographs. There are many reputable sellers, and there's great people that are involved in the business.
Right.
But there are also some people that are out to get you,
Right,
or they're
right.
not as informed and just starting out. And I want people to avoid those pitfalls, whether they're buying from me or not. I want the hobby to be perceived in a positive light. And I want people to know what they're doing. And if I can offer a little bit of advice and a little education to where they can start learning and evaluating things, it keeps them safe and it's
Right.
better for the hobby.
Because there are unethical people out there. And they are, it's
Absolutely.
expensive. Some of these can be very expensive. So what should someone look out for they've never bought an autograph before? Like, how do you find out someone that's reputable, or which steps should they do?
Generally, if you're going to start collecting autographs, at least have an idea of, if you're going to buy a signature of someone, and you're not going to get it in person from the celebrity, you should at least have a passing familiarity with the signature. What should it look like? And with
Okay.
the advent of online collecting and Facebook groups and different websites
Right.
that go into detail on how to spot these things, at least educate yourself a little bit, know what it looks like, and have an idea of what happens when someone is unethical. How to spot a forgery,
Mhm.
or something that's a proxy signature. And it's probably going to require at least a few hours on the collector's part to bring themselves up to speed. But when you have somebody that's doing the wrong thing, if you know what to look for, it's not that hard to spot.
Right.
Because when someone is trying to replicate somebody's signature, there's certain things that show up in that signature. Everybody's signature is unique,
Mhm.
and the way people do slant, flow, and pressure is unique to every individual on the earth. And like, if you went to a booth that was full of forged memorabilia, whoever is actually doing that, their characteristics are going to show up in those signatures. And if you know what to look for, it's fairly easy to find. Also, you want to deal with someone that's established and has been in the field a long time and can answer your questions and put you at ease and
Yeah.
give you valid contact information. The people that fly by night, um, they'll give you bogus contact information, so you can't track them down. So if you're at a convention or you're dealing with somebody online, ask for their contact information and make sure you
Mhm.
can really get in touch with someone if you have an issue after the sale, and make sure that they offer a guarantee and that you can get your money back if there's a problem. And those are just the most important things, in
That's
my
great
opinion, on
advice. Great advice. So what do people normally collect, Joe? What do you get the most requests for? I would think it'd be Star Trek.
Star Trek. Because I like Star Trek so much. I do put Star Trek in my display, and I have some really unique and rare pieces, and it brings the Star Trek fans over. But it really depends on what's going on at the time. There's an ebb and a flow. Like recently, Stranger Things has been the most
Hmm.
requested
Yeah.
thing that's super hot right now. And everything I've had is sold. I don't have anything left. But fortunately, at Steel City, Gate and Matarazzo will be there, and I will be seeing if I can work a deal and getting some stuff signed.
Right. And I've also seen you have wonderful displays. I've seen Wizard of Oz.
Absolutely. Yes.
Wizard of
That is probably one of the most challenging pieces I ever put
oh,
together. And it's expensive, but with
sure.
good reason. It's
Absolutely.
the film came out in 1933, and most of the actors have been deceased for over 50 years. So as you could imagine, their signatures are scarce. And because it's Wizard of Oz, it's so iconic and desirable. And then once somebody has it in their hands, it tends to get passed down to family members. So very little comes on the market. So it's one of the most expensive pieces that I have.
Right.
And it is the rarest. It's
Mhm.
really a cool piece.
You're my first call after I win that Powerball to get that.
I have people say that to me all the time. To my knowledge, none of my customers have hit the Powerball, but I do have people that are constantly collecting and adding to their collections.
Right, right. And so, but you have things that apply to everybody, every genre, I think. I mean, I've seen a
I
lot of superheroes, the Marvel and the DC, and you had Elf last time I saw you.
Mhm.
The
That
TV
that
show. Oh,
actually that actually sold.
I
That was
know.
so nostalgic, so much fun. But I don't really deal in any sports.
Mhm.
I stay in celebrities and pretty much entertainers, and that way I can stick to what I know and I kind of narrow my focus. And it's
Right.
all heavily sci-fi, Comic-Con related, more nerdy and geeky. But whatever pop culture is popular at the time, if I can get my hands on it, I'll offer it for sale. Absolutely love it all.
Yeah. Now, do you actually get the celebrity autographs? Do you have someone
Well,
get them for you?
Well, both. Early on in my career, I got everything myself. I would be doing the conventions, going down to New York,
Wow.
doing signings at shows, and nowadays, I still get into the streets occasionally, but maybe once or twice a year. I have a couple of people that I trust that go out into the streets, and they're outside the movie premieres, the talk shows, and the press
Wow.
junkets, getting things signed for me, and then. I'm sourcing all the vintage material and vetting that to make sure that it's authentic, and doing the framing and the matting, and doing the conventions and keeping all that going. And in addition to the autographs at the conventions, we also sell blank movie posters and photos that you can collect or add autographs to. And we have different collectibles and memorabilia from different TV shows. So I try to have things from $5 up into the many thousands of dollars. So there's something for everybody and every
Right.
collector. The whole family can shop with me.
Right. Right. Do you take special requests if you can? Like, for example, if someone's watching, saying, "I really want to get this autograph from, say, John Travolta."
Absolutely. If somebody has a request, I will try to make it happen. One of my favorite special requests came from a customer out in Steel City, and he said, my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, is The Omega Man with Charlton Heston. And it has a cult following, but it's not a super
Not
well-known
big.
film.
Right.
And I had never thought to do it. But I set about trying to get the three main stars, and it took me probably about 5 years to find the female lead. I believe her name was Rosalind Harris,
Oh,
and she
wow.
died of cancer in the early 90s, so her signature was very uncommon. But I finally found it, put the piece together, cut the Omega symbol into it, and it came out beautiful. And the fella came to pick up the piece at the convention, and a little tear started to stream down his
Oh,
eye. And I said, it's just a movie. And he goes, no, it's not. He goes, it's a memory. He goes, that I love that movie. And it was my dad's favorite movie. And
oh,
he's no longer with us. And we would watch that movie once or twice a year. And I look at the piece and I just reminded of my dad and the happy times we shared. And it makes me emotional. And,
yeah. It makes me emotional too hearing that. Wow.
it's what it's all about, and people will request special things, or they might get something signed at a convention on their own, and they'll go, can you give it a special treatment and frame it and mat it and make it look beautiful for me? And I do that as well. So.
Right. Right. So people could see you. You're having a Facebook. Is it an auction next Saturday, which is the 29th?
We're actually doing a live show. We're calling it our Halloween special. And
Okay.
so we're going to show a lot of spooky stuff, a lot of Halloween stuff, a lot of horror celebrities, and we're going to offer things for sale at a set price. We'll frame and mat them as an optional add-on if you'd like. And
Right.
we also are going to do a little mini auction, because that's what people seem to really love the
Yeah.
most, are our auctions. And a little bit of competition. You can battle it out with another collector to add a special piece to your
I
collection.
know. I always battle with one certain collector. I'm not going to say his name, but he knows.
Sometimes, but
So
it's all in fun.
yeah, it is all in fun. It all. So they can go to your Facebook page for more information. Hollywood Joe's Memorabilia.
Absolutely. Hollywood Joe's Memorabilia. And I don't always do it, but I try to put up a daily post and show something that's for sale. If there's some interesting genre news that relates to the Comic-Con world that I like, I'll try to share it, and just have a fun place where we could all gather to collect and just connect a little bit.
Right. And they can also find out where you are on that Facebook page. You usually put whenever you're going somewhere to a con.
Yeah, I'll let people know what conventions we're going to be set up at, and I usually try to put up good pictures of the booth at
Mhm.
every convention. So, you know, if you see something that you like and you're across the country, you can ask for close-up pictures. And it's not uncommon that during a convention, something will sell to
Right,
one of my Facebook followers across the country. I'll be putting a sold sign on it and shipping it out the following week.
right. And then you'll be at Steel City Con, which is in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, in December.
Yes, the second, I believe it's the second weekend in
I
December,
think
and
9th, 10th, something like that.
yes, Steel City happens 3 times a year, and I never ever miss it. And I'm always in the same exact location, so you can make a
Mhm.
beeline to my booth. So many people are passionate about what they're getting autographed there, so I do sell a ton of blank photos and posters because you never know if that celebrity is going to have what you want
Right,
signed. So,
right.
you know, I'm there right front and center to make sure that you've got something cool to get signed, or if they don't have the movie you want, I try to have it for you.
Right. Any final words, Joe?
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun discussing everything with you,
Yeah.
and you know, it was a blast. And I'm passionate about autographs and memorabilia. And if anybody watching is interested, check out my Facebook page. And if you have questions or need anything, feel free to shoot me a message, and I'll respond as soon as I can.
Thank you so much for being here today, Joe.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching today's episode of Empowering You. I'd like to thank my guest, Hollywood Joe, Joe Kendall, for being on today, discussing what he loves and his passion, which is collecting autographs and memorabilia. His story is so empowering how he started in high school, attending the first show and selling something, to making this a business for over 30 years. I hope this story inspires and empowers you to follow your passions and live your dreams. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.